All right, this was a good one. This was a good one to watch, a good one to participate in. This was a good day to participate in. A little bit choppy here and there, but nonetheless, we've had some pretty good gappers, meaning that Momo is coming back and we are getting some volume back in the market, and that's really good because if anyone's been trading through these past few weeks and have been profitable, there's almost no way that you're not going to be profitable in what occurred today potentially. If you weren't profitable, if you tried to trade Xela, if you did trade this, then you probably either scrub or need to go back to the drawing board and figure out what went wrong. So, and that leads me to my main point here. We're going to be looking at Xela for a nice little trade analysis. So first things first, I actually recorded me trading this. This was the leading gapper. I wish I could format this so it could just show this. I just want this part right here. So, I mean, it's not, whatever. We're just going to have to fucking wing it. I'm not trying to look at this part. I'm trying to look at this morning kind of swing here. So, this is pre-market. This is maybe what we're seeing right up in the morning, just right up to here. That's more like it. That's more of like what I was kind of seeing, because it wasn't, once it goes parabolic, the chart has to kind of fit everything. But anyways, in pre-market, it's kind of looking around. It's kind of hard to tell pre-market for what stocks are going to go and which ones aren't. So you can kind of draw out your lines, like your pre-market resistances and stuff, and maybe your dailies if the stock decides to go. But a lot of the times it's kind of tough to kind of figure out which one's going to go until the market till the bell rings. Okay, so bear with me. It's a little bit slow here, but this is going to be a great lesson on how this whole thing went. Either way, it's right up in the morning. The stock kind of sells off for a second. I'm not really watching it. Really, what I'm looking for is the first stock that really gaps up, like gets a nice little push above VWAP. I want it above VWAP, and I want to see a nice push on higher volume. As you can see, this thing got a push on 1 to 2 mil volume, and it was nice relative volume, and it was pushing straight through this kind of support and resistance, like this resistance zone, which was nice. I was expecting it to get denied at this level, like 2.9s or so. I had resistances through here. Wanted to get kind of denied at this level and come back down. So once it pops, now it has my interest. Now I know other people are looking at it as well. And if you're a dip buyer, this is exactly what you want to see. You want to see it pop above VWAP, and then on strong relative volume, and pop and drop, so you can get your buy in place. And you're hoping that VWAP lines up. It doesn't always happen this way, but VWAP lines up with the previous high. So I would call this technically right here, this is the previous high, this little zone here. So you want to see it bounce off that level in correlation with the VWAP. So as you can see, a perfect dip buy right there. It dips right to previous high. Maybe you have your order 1 cent above at 258. I know I did. And VWAP, and I'm going to risk that. I'm going to risk VWAP 252s or so for this, because it's got such a strong trend back in, like, and all these candles are confirmed by the price. Like that's a quick pause and decision because it needed to get through here, but it burst straight through there. And I don't know, just live you can kind of tell when a stock's going to go after having so many hours in. So either way, this thing pops up before we're not even here yet. It pops up. I immediately go look at the daily, because there's nothing for reference on the previous day. Like there's nothing to look at over here. It's all just like 162, nothing to look at. So we're going to go to the daily first and kind of draw out some lines that could potentially be resistance. We're down at like, what are we at? Like 2.5s or so. So we start drawing our lines. Maybe we'll get some resistance there. That looks like a nice spot. Up in there, 295, 312 maybe. 317s and 341 area. So at this point, if it's at 275, you're not really looking at that's good enough for what kind of trade you're going to do. I mean, you're not expecting this thing to go as far as it went. So drew out those lines, came back here. This is like this when you see a stock make a pop like this, like when you see it move that drastically through here on good volume, you want to drop everything, draw out your lines, come up with a plan as quickly as you can in a couple of minutes, because that's all you're going to get here. If this thing, you see it popping up to here, you're only going to get a couple minutes until it comes down to VWAP. Or maybe it comes over here, but you quickly sold off, you put your buy order right here at 258, get filled, and boom, this thing immediately pops back up, goes from 58 to 288 or 291, which was the first resistance, in one candle. So that in itself right there should be like, okay, this thing's got potential to run when it's doing something like that, instead of being like, okay, I'm gonna hug the VWAP or something and put in a level. So then it pops up, keeps going, and now at this point, once it pops up, I took some profits right off this first candle, but since it like, my first price target was the high 2.8, but now your price target is going to be 2.9 or 3.15s, which are the resistance on the daily. So you're going to be cutting through here as well as other people did. Maybe your second position, and you want to see it kind of hold up in this level and reconsolidate so it can filter out that seller. You can look at the level 2 and see if there's a seller there, and it does, and it keeps going. I think I was all out on this trade at this point, but we know that there's not a bunch of resistance past this point, past this 339 range. So it could keep going, but this thing is already up so much. On this first trade, if you trimmed half up here at the highs or so, you've already got 30 cents, and then you've got another 20 cents. So you could have made like 50 cents, divide that by half your position, you've probably made like 30 cents on the dollar. Not bad at all. And then this thing pops back up, keeps going. It's at 341 from 317. So that's 30 cents right there. It pops up and finds support down here, right? Maybe you add this dip right here because it broke through that support and then held. So you add this dip to 3.2s, and you're wanting it to break 3.41, which is not something that I just wrote out or drew out because it was a resistance. That was a resistance on the daily, so it's going to be respected. Anyways, this thing breaks up through that, pops up again to 388, and at this point, like, I'm already thinking, okay, this thing's up pretty hard. If I'm gonna take a trade, I'm gonna go lighter size, but we want to see it hold up at 3.4s, you know. But the problem is that, like, when you're entering down here, you're at the beginning of the day, you're adding on VWAP, you're adding on a previous high. This stock hasn't moved yet, but it's gotten volume. You can see that it has interest. The other thing I didn't even mention is it has really good news. It's got awarded a $90 million 10-year contract, which is insane. Contracts can make stocks run. So this is like go all in kind of for me. Like, this is like you're risking 3-4 cents to the downside. You've got at least 20-30 cents to the upside. Take the trade and go full size. It's early in the morning. Everyone's looking at the market right now. So this is the best entry right here. Maybe if you're quick with it, maybe you got in up here. But honestly, I bought this dip up here. I didn't see much in through here, so I waited for this section to turn up. So I kind of defined on the 1 minute as these were two different zones. Like, these were two different reconsolidations, so I can draw my line from here to here, right? I can draw my line from here to here because these are two different zones. It doesn't look like it, but because it only consolidated for such a short period of time, and in bull markets this happens all the time. Like, you're gonna have to be trading. It's less dips and more bull flags that you're gonna have to be trading, and that's what happened here. Maybe you dip bought right here, but at this point you don't have a line in the sand to put down. Might be this one right here. That's a good So, but VWAP kind of uses that as well. Anyways, my kind of trading is I want to be able to have either this early morning we're at VWAP, or I want to be able to have a trend line that also intersects with the previous high. My entry consists of always having one or two um, support or resistance or VWAPs in my favor. You know, I don't want to be like, okay, maybe it'll hold this previous resistance line, but if this trend line is also here and it respected it twice down here, it's most likely going to respect this line in congruence with this previous high. So I dip buy. Here I'm going lighter size because we are further up in the move. You know, this is the third or fourth time that this thing has moved higher. So we're going to take about half size and have a very tight stop below here. You're going to add it 349, have your stop at 339, 10 cents to the downside, kind of risky. But the thing is you're risking 349 to 399 or so, or 386, which is 40 cents on the top, 10 cents to the bottom, 4 to 10 ratio there. Pops up. Get your sells out right here because it breaks that previous high. And now you can put this in as support, right? As soon as it breaks that level. And it holds, so you might trim half here and then immediately keeps going. And the other thing to look at is how this thing held volume. Like, it just kept going. Like, even the small areas had like 1.8 million volume candles on the 1 minute. It's insane. The 5 minute is probably just straight vertical. I'll look at it in a minute, but yeah, it holds this level, keeps going, pops up again. Now you're sitting on a lot of profit, and you're rewarded because you dip bought. Like, it's the most low risk entry. It's, for me, the easiest thing to see, and it's not as obvious as people think. Like, it's obvious enough to where it'll attract buyers, but it's not obvious enough to where it doesn't work. So, I mean, I don't even want to. This just kept going. This went all the way to, I don't even know what it's at, $6 right now. It's insane. But take note of this trade. I'm sure you all saw this today. You're probably still looking at it with this insane after hours action. Yeah, take note of this trade. Go back to your own technical analysis, learn from it, and yeah, this was crazy. I really only wanted to look at this part because this is the only part that really intrigued me early on. The biggest thing about this is, like, these morning trades, you could trade one ticker, and if you play it correctly, which over time you will, and once the day that you start trading these perfectly is the day that nothing can stop you. Like, you know that you have the skills. As long as you keep up with it, you know you have the skills to just keep doing it over and over again. And that's why all these people, like, you have to go through the journey to get to this point. And for this thing to make these moves, dip buy there, maybe buy in here, or a dip buy in here, you've already made like 6 to 10% on the day. And that's all you can really ask for, right? 6 to 10% per day, accounting for occasional drawdown days, but hardly any, is something to be proud of, and not take for granted. So that was my kind of analysis on Xela. I didn't even have resistance lines through here. I probably should have. Let's see if on the weekly, maybe they have something through here that can confirm. So 4.9, but that wasn't in the zone. Yeah, really nothing. Like maybe 3 4s, 4 3 5s, but the reality of this thing, it's a parabolic mover. And the other thing to think about is my previous videos in shakier markets. This stock, like, can sometimes like if it comes down to these levels, a lot of the times it won't. Like a lot of the times it'll only go a few cents above. Like for this instance, here's the previous high at 341. It only came down to like 346. It was in congruence with the lower trend line, but the fact of the matter is like you're not always gonna. The problem with like dip buys is you're not always gonna get your order filled where you want it to. So, and it's also sometimes if you have an order here at like say 1 cent above like 342, a lot sometimes like if the stock decides to, it'll come down and push down through there, and then you'll be filled, and then you'll be down. You'll have like 10 cents to the downside in a matter of seconds, and that'll happen. So there's a way to kind of finesse it where you can, if you see it pushing down and but it keeps getting pushed back up, like there's buyers, if this thing closes here, you're immediately going to want to place your buy like 1 cent above here, or even if you want to be safe at 358. But in something with momentum like this and VWAP like this entry, very low risk entry, you can add at 258 and risk 254 with confidence, especially when it makes a move like that. But once you're up in here, this is where you want to take lighter size and be a little bit more cautious. Instead of like placing your order down here like 258 like that before it gets there, instead up in here you're going to want to place your order after it gets there. So you want to see that it holds that pretty good. And if this candle shows nice support right here, you're going to add somewhere in this candle, right? Because your previous high is 383 and your entry is at maybe highest 356. That's almost 30 cents. So don't be too particular about where you enter, because you're most of the time you're not going to get a perfect entry unless you have everything going for you. So especially on dip buys. So just have your limits in here. I know it can be frustrating when it doesn't fill your order and then pops up and makes a new high right in front of you, but there's just so many aspects to trading. It's like dip buying, this is how to do it. So all right, that's it for today.